In the headlines, gunmen raid Edo train station, abduct unspecified number of passengers, and injure many. Hoodlums disrupt collections of PVC, threatens INEC officials in Edo. And lastly, on the international scene, thousands of Israelis protest against Netanyahu's new government. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Update. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for joining. And now the news in full. Gunmen have abducted many passengers from a train station in Igwoben local government area of Edo State. The victims were waiting to board a train to Warri in Delta State when the attackers struck. Confirming the incident, the State Police Public Relations Officer Chidi Nwabuzo said it is unclear if anyone was killed in the incident, but the travelers sustained bullet wounds. He said the abductors, armed with AK-47 rifles, invaded the train station on Saturday evening and shot sporadically into the air before abducting scores of intending travelers. The development comes less than a year after terrorists gunned down some train passengers in Kaduna and abducted more than 60 of them. Also, hoodlums over the weekend disrupted the distribution of permanent voters' cards, PVCs, in some parts of Igbogualka local government area of Edo State. It was learned that the incident happened on Friday and Saturday in Ward 1 at Wogban Ute, Ward 5 at St. Xavier's School, Ward 7 at Ugbekun, Ward 6 at Maria Goretti College, RA at Obanyato, Army Children's School and Ogege Health Center. The hoodlums were said to have stormed the collection centers in the morning when officials of INEC moved the distribution of the PVCs to ward level. The head of voter education Edo INEC office, Timidi Wariowe, in a statement said INEC Edo State has received reports of unruly incidents between Friday and Saturday, which degenerated to the disruption of collection of PVCs and threat to officials and materials in the 5 wards. He said INEC had informed the police command about the situation. He called on citizens, especially community leaders, on the need to ensure the safety of INEC officials and materials deployed to their various communities to ensure that voters collected their PVCs and were able to vote in the 2023 elections. Some residents of Maiduguri, the Borno State's capital, have decried the slow pace of distribution of PVCs as INEC collection centers in the metropolis. Trust TV's Beatrice Kurusi, who visited some PVC collection centers, reports that the cards are unavailable for collection while some centers are understaffed. The report.
There is a rush here for the collection of PVCs in one of the many INEC voters' cards collection centers in Maiduguri. The weekend exercise in some of these centers witnessed a low turnout, while some who came to claim theirs were unable to collect them and fear that they may be disenfranchised in the coming elections. We came to collect our PVC and they told us to return after a week, and it's the second time we have been given this excuse. They are supposed to have produced all the PVCs so that everyone will get his or her own, because when the collection closes now, many people will not get theirs.
Well, so far here it is not so congested, but I don't know about other centers. But I saw the previous election to be much more tense than this one. We are much relaxed here, and there's no more tension to be scared of coming out to vote. I think it's going to be okay here if all things continue the way we are seeing now.
Most of the people that we did together with them, and most of the people that even faced them, their own have already come out then. And we even asked them, but up to now still no response. Instead of us, they should respond in a polite way. So most of them, they used to be quarreling and be responding so harsh for us. Instead of them, because this is our right, and we're the citizen of Nigeria here, we have the right to vote and everything then. But up to now, we haven't seen any single of that.
I come in early in the morning, 11. Nobody opened this place. That's why after praying, I came here again and collected.
They also feel that the deadline for the collection of the PVCs should be extended.
They're supposed to be about 5 or 6. This is about 60-something units in the same place. Thousands of people may come. Only 2 people are checking this thing. This is not fair. There is enough funds that was given to INEC. I believe they can recruit more people to make life easy.
How many persons is he going to start? It's only one person that was working inside that place. But what about the rest?
I think if people are not able to access it, I would advise that the extension should be granted for the masses to have access to it, since it is a very important.
So far, more than 25,753 cards have been collected out of the 132,750 new PVCs received on Friday. With the collection of the PVCs billed to last for 2 weeks, some residents who couldn't get theirs are hoping that INEC will extend its collection deadline.
With less than 2 months to the 2023 general elections, Nigerians have been reminded of the need to effectively play their role in the task of electing credible leaders for the nation. In Makurdi, the Benue State capital, some residents believe that for the country to get it right, all eligible voters must exercise their franchise on voting days. The report.
Benue State had a population of about 4 million people, according to the 2006 population figures. The number is expected to have increased significantly within the last 16 years due to factors like fertility rate, migration, life expectancy, and others. However, results from the 2019 elections showed that less than 1 million Benue citizens voted in the governorship election. This leaves many wondering if the 2023 polls will present a different or similar scenario.
Every citizen in Nigeria, it is a civic right of yours to participate in voting. You need to hold the card not as an evidence in banks. The card is meant for your vote to count.
A civic duty, a civic responsibility, which we are all expected to live up to.
I yearn for a better Nigeria, a better Benue State. And so I want to be able to vote on that day.
Voter apathy, ignorance of the significance of political participation, among others, are some of the issues noticed among the youth population, as I found out in the course of this report. Although there has been a significant improvement in awareness creation, some youth, however, complain off camera that the political actors are in their words not bringing out cash. With the electoral umpire, security and anti-corruption agencies on the lookout for vote buying, some Nigerians are positive that the narrative will change the 2023 polls.
Should not be deceived by the mere currencies that they will be given by politicians, but they should walk up to what is right, grab their PVCs, and then make their vote count.
We should forget about the candidate or whatsoever people call. We should make sure we vote to the right person that will help our economy and all the problems that we have in Nigeria.
Discourage political apathy. Because many people have this impression that, why am I wasting my time voting since my vote won't count? No, your vote will count. Make effort and vote.
As Nigerians prepare to vote to elect new leaders, they are united in the belief that whoever wins the presidency, we have so much to do to address the many challenges confronting Nigeria as a nation.
And still on election matters, Plateau State's Governor Simon Lalong has expressed confidence that the people of the state will vote the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the forthcoming general elections. Speaking at the Beat Apol Cultural Festival in his village, Inyak, in Shandam local government area to usher in the new year, the governor said the APC under his administration had done a lot to restore peace to Plateau State and address previous acts of injustice, exclusion and division. He said this followed his restoration of traditional stools and the creation of new ones in the state to give the people a sense of belonging in the affairs of the state, as well as the creation of peace-building agency and opening up of room for dialogue, understanding and unity. Lalong, who is the Director General of the APC Presidential Campaign Council, stressed that Nigerians at large will vote APC again because of its achievements in the areas of peace, development and justice. In his remarks, Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Idris Wase, said the people of Nyak should be very proud to have produced an illustrious son like Governor Lalong, who was humble, patriotic and honest. And amid the dwindling economy and high rate of unemployment that has become the major contributing factor to insecurity in the country, the Adamawa state government says it has lifted over 20,000 youth and women out of poverty. The head of Poverty Alleviation and Wealth Creation Agency in the state, Aishatu Bello Bawa, disclosed this in an interview with Trust TV in Yola. Salis Lawan has more.
Aishatu Bello Bawa noted that the agency's interventions are in the areas of training for starters, giving technical support to business owners and entrepreneurs, as well as dishing out social welfare packages to those in dire need.
We thank God for the life of Right Honorable Ahmadu Umaru Fintri. It's not an overexaggeration. We have approval and releases over 4.4 billion naira from 2019 to date on empowerment issues. And also this year, in the budget of 2023, we have 2.445 billion has been approved for empowerment. So we consider youths, women and vulnerable groups.
Bawa said the agency's skills acquisition centers will give priority to the 2,700 students that were already receiving various skills at the centers, adding that opportunities will thereafter be open to fresh beneficiaries in order to reduce poverty in the state.
In 2023, we intend to redouble our efforts to ensure that we have value for the little resources. Despite the financial fragility of the state, we ensure to double our efforts to see how we can make youths and women to have viable trades, that the vulnerable group that cannot attend trade, we can see how we can have social support services for them.
Stakeholders say the opening of the skills acquisition centers, which were long neglected across the state, will boost the state government drive toward the eradication of poverty and creation of wealth in the state. From Yola, Salis Lawan, Trust TV News.
And away from Adamawa State, President Muhammadu Buhari has ordered security agencies to eradicate crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism in the Niger Delta before May 29. The president, represented by the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temipara Silva, gave the charge while addressing security agencies that comprise the Navy, Air Force and Army at the Nigerian Navy, NNS, Pathfinder and 115 Special Operations Squad of the Nigerian Air Force in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. The report.
Minister of State, Petroleum Resources, Temipara Silva, along with top government officials, reminded security personnel fighting to stamp out oil theft in the Niger Delta during a visit to the area of President Muhammadu Buhari's directive to end the menace within the life of the present administration. He noted that due to the scaled-up security efforts of the federal government, it has helped to shore up production to about 1.5 million barrels per day, adding the federal government could no longer tolerate the act of sabotage against it in the guise of oil theft and pipeline vandalism.
Mr. President mandated us to come here and give his commendation to the officers and men of the armed forces who have been involved in the fight against oil theft. We've seen significant improvement since we started this fight, and Mr. President thought it was fitting for us to come and give this commendation to further bolster the morale of the armed forces. We are not exactly where we ought to be, but we have also charged them to redouble effort to ensure that oil theft is a thing of the past. Mr. President, really I want to leave that as a legacy before he exits on May 29 to ensure that oil theft has been totally dealt with.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Irabo, in his remarks, urged the security agencies to remain steadfast in the campaign to hold crude oil theft in the country.
The motivation that has come from this commendation will be, some form of verve that will enable us to pep up, what we're doing to ensure that the desire of Mr. President is achieved overall. And I think that that's what we'll be looking at, reassessing the gaps, what has made us to make this impact, what has not made us to be so effective, and how to close it up. So this is precisely what we will do. And I would also like to use this opportunity to say that what this has indicated is that there's a need for everyone to have his hand on the plow. It's a collective effort which, more or less validates that position that together we will win.
Other officials on the minister's team were the Chief of Naval Staff, CNS, Vice Admiral Awal Gambo, Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, NUPRC, Benga Komolafe, and the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Mainstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, Farouk Ahmed.
You're watching Trust TV News Updates. Coming up shortly, we'll take a look at why people answer funny names. Details of this report and more after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us. You're still watching the news updates on Trust Television. A recap of our top stories. We told you earlier that gunmen raid Edo train station, abduct unspecified number of passengers and injure many. And the hoodlums disrupt collection of PVCs, threaten INEC officials in Edo State. So more news, the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and CDC has said that about 189 deaths were recorded in the country in the year 2022 from Lassa fever. Also, 63 healthcare workers were infected by the disease in the year under review. According to the situation report released on Saturday by the center, confirmed cases for last year, 2022, stand at 1,067 across 112 local government areas and 27 states. The report showed that 72% of all confirmed Lassa fever cases were reported from 3 states of Ondo, Edo, and Bauchi, while 23% were reported from 24 states, which confirmed Lassa fever cases. It further revealed that of 72% of confirmed cases were from Ondo State, and they reported about 33%. Edo State reported about 25%, and Bauchi 14%. The 52nd week report from December 26 to January 1, 2023 showed that the suspected cases were 8,202. According to the World Health Organization, Lassa fever is known to be endemic in Benin, Ghana, Guinea, Liberia, Mali, Sierra Leone, Togo, and Nigeria, but probably exists in other West African countries as well. In traditional Africa, in Nigeria precisely, naming a child is more often than not linked to circumstances surrounding the birth of such a child. And this makes some of the names to sound funny to some people and sometimes mysterious to others when one digs into their meaning. Jimmy Azande spoke to some Benue residents on issues around names and filed in this report. Take a look.
In the West, The concept of naming means little or nothing to either the parents or the children. Hence, it is common to hear people bear names like grass, apple, field, orange, rice, etc. On the contrary, Africans, especially Nigerians, and in particular the Tiv people of North Central region, consider certain factors before naming a child.
You know that names have impact on people's lives. In the first instance, names have contextual and connotative meanings. A name may mean something, but in the context within which they use that name, it may mean a different thing. If they give you a name like Chayua, which means poverty is going to kill you, then it is likely that the power of life and death lies in the tongue.
The factors considered when naming children make seemingly funny or mysterious names not merely happenstance, as such names have genealogical or circumstantial meanings. However, many believe that bearers of some names sometimes face negative consequences if such names connote negativity.
My father have a classmate, Yawenda. Once upon a time when we were in school, he said he don't want to answer Yawenda again. Or if you are Yawenda, it is not because you have been rejected by your father's kinsman, as the name implies. Your father or your mom is only expressing her feeling or his feelings.
Most people are no longer, even girls that bear that names, that they were given short names. As they grew up, they are changing the names. When I was born, my father said he has known all these people who were complaining that the wives will not marry here. But now, eventually, he has won the battle. So he has known those people, but he don't want to expose them. So most of these names have a lot of meanings, and that is why he called me Father.
In recent times, however, widespread Christianity has shifted the tradition of naming to a more spiritual affair, as biblical names and positive Christian virtues are replacing negative names. This shift, many believe, attracts positivity to those who bear such names.
And now to Delta State, where the government has slammed the Deputy President of the Senate and governorship candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, over a purported letter warning banks to stop advancing loans to state government. Commissioner for Information in the state, Charles Aniagu, who spoke at a news conference in Asaba, said Omo Agege has no right or powers to stop the government from carrying out any constitutional action. Aniagu said the state government operates an open government and has been transparent and accountable to the people in all its financial dealings. He said that the APC candidate had failed to tell the people what he intends to do, but rather resorted to personality attacks on the governor who was not on the ballot for him.
Even the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria cannot warn a bank not to deal with the state. Once you meet the condition precedent for something to happen, the president cannot warn anybody to say don't deal with this, but he does not have the power. You have been in this state. You know that there has never been any time we took any facility, whether it's outright loan or bridging finance, that we did not make it public. None. Because in following the processes, we usually brief, even from the ESCO. When we go to the House of Assembly, you have correspondence in the House of Assembly where these things are debated even at the committee level. There has never been any time that we do the backdoor thing. The 100 billion that was approved, we have not finished assessing it. How can he now wake up and tell you that we're not asking for 40 billion? For what now? So if the man wants to campaign, let him go and tell that and what he wants to do.
And away from Nigeria, thousands of Israelis have taken to the street to protest plans by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's new government that they say threaten democracy and freedoms. The protesters gathered in the city of Tel Aviv on Saturday, days after the most right-wing and religiously conservative government in the country's 74-year history was sworn in. It plans sweeping reforms from expanding illegal settlements in the occupied West Bank to weakening the power of the judiciary. Protesters brandished signs with slogans including democracy in danger and together against fascism and apartheid. The protest was led by left-wing and Palestinian members of the Israeli parliament, the Knesset, and critics accused the government of declaring war on the legal system, saying the plan will upend Israel's system of checks and balances and undermine its democratic institutions by giving absolute power to the new governing coalition. And in sports, Venus Williams has withdrawn from this month's Australian Open after sustaining an injury at a warm-up tournament. The 42-year-old had been awarded a wild card for the Grand Slam, which begins on the 16th of January in Melbourne. Williams was injured during the ASV Classic in Auckland. Three-time major winner Swiatek was in tears following a straight-set defeat by the United States' Jessica Pegula in the United Cup Mixed Teams Tournament in Sydney on Friday. And with that, we have come to the end of the news update at this hour. For more, subscribe to our YouTube channel and connect with us across all our social media platforms. I am Martia Umar. Thank you for watching and have a great day.